Since the beginning of his debut, Hybe, formerly Big Hit, has always kept the narrative. BTS is 7 equal members. Nothing more, nothing less. All parts have their own role. RM with his leadership, Jin with his charm, Suga with his musicality, J-Hope with his energy, Jimin with his charm, V with his unique visuals and aura, and Jungkook as maknae complete it all. But over time, the facts on the ground said otherwise. In every global campaign, in every big brand that wants to work together, in every international headline, Jungkook's name always comes first. From the Puskas Arena stage to The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, the cameras and the public seem to gravitate toward him. And as it turns out, Hybe's own recent inside admission confirms what many have been secretly feeling, that Jungkook is the center that keeps BTS orbit in balance amid the ever-accelerating rotation of global fame. According to several internal sources reported by Korean media, the statement came during a global project evaluation meeting involving Hybe executives. They discussed the future of BTS after all members have completed their military service, individual brand strategies, and the direction of the group's comeback. There, a sentence appeared that made the atmosphere of the meeting room instantly change. No matter how the formation will be, Jungkook will still be BTS's center of gravity. It sounds like a business strategy, but it has a deeper emotional meaning, because behind it lies the long journey of a young man who since adolescence has borne great expectations from the world. If we pull back since the era of Dope, Fire to Dynamite, Jungkook's role has always been seen in the front position. Not because of favoritism, but because of the balance of visuals and musicality that he has made it an entrance for many new fans. He became a representation of the energetic, young, and universal BTS. Even in Hybe's own digital data analysis, Jungkook has always been the most sought after, most mentioned, and most used name in the global brand partnership strategy. When Calvin Klein announced its collaboration with Jungkook, global sales increased dramatically to exceed the company's internal projections within 72 hours. Such facts strengthen Jungkook's position not only as a member of BTS, but as the global face of the group. However, what made Hybe's confession shake was not only the content, but the reaction. Because shortly after the news spread, 2 of the names closest to Jungkook, Jimin and Taehyung, issued comments that made fans pause and reflect. In an informal interview, Jimin said in a half-joking but clearly meaningful tone, "If Jungkook is the center, then we are all his orbit, right?" The sentence sounds light, but the fans know in it there is a deep note of reflection. Jimin and Jungkook are known to have emotional closeness since trainee. They grew up together, supporting each other in difficult times. But the recognition that Jungkook is now recognized as an official center makes many people wonder, does the balance remain the same as it used to be? Meanwhile, Taehyung, 5th, who is often referred to as the visual line alongside Jungkook, made a more pointed comment. In his live broadcast, he answered the question of fans who offended Hybe's statement with a spontaneous but meaningful sentence. "If she is the center, then I am the edge." But the outline is also important, right? Without an edge, no circle will form. Fans immediately flooded the comments with a mixture of laughter, praise, and speculation. Some consider it a joke, some judge it a form of acceptance, and some read the tone of bitterness behind his smile. But in a way, Taehyung's sentence actually shows extraordinary maturity, a realization that the roles of each member now no longer have to be parallel but complementary. Interestingly, Hybe's admission comes at a time when many industry analysts are highlighting the phenomenon of individuals overtaking their own groups. Jungkook is now standing on that line. He is BTS, but at the same time a separate entity that has global magnetism even outside the shadow of his group. In America, Jungkook's name is now penetrating a market that was once only dominated by local solo artists. Her singles, Seven and Standing Next to You, became new symbols that Korean artists no longer need K-pop labels to break into global charts. He became the face of a new era, one in which popularity depended no longer on categories, but on universally recognized qualities across cultures. Hybe seems to be aware of that fact, so the recognition that Jungkook is the center of BTS is not a form of injustice, but a strategy of recognition of the reality of the market. The world now knows BTS through Jungkook, and through Jungkook, the world remembers BTS again. He became a two-way bridge between a past built by 7 men and a future that may be driven by one figure with near unparalleled global influence. However, great recognition always comes with great consequences anyway. In the army, some feel proud, but others feel awkward. They were afraid that the label BTS Center would change the harmony that had been the group's strength. But if we look deeper, this is precisely where the true essence of BTS is. Each member knows when to move forward and when to make room. Jimin and Taehyung showed it elegantly, not through competition, but through acceptance. They knew that Jungkook was not taking the light from them, but rather enlarging the spotlight for the entire group. And perhaps that's exactly what Hybe wanted to convey through this confession. That being the center does not mean being the only star, but being the gravity that keeps all in the same orbit. Jungkook, in all his glory, is not just a music icon, but a symbol of how BTS grew. From 7 young people who shared a dream to a global phenomenon that is now rewriting the historical map of the world's entertainment industry. And when Jimin and Taehyung choose to respond with a jarring but honest line, it's not a form of tension, it's a testament to their maturity in the face of the fact that every era has its own center, and right now, all the eyes of the world are on Jungkook. So, is Hybe wrong for finally recognizing Jungkook as the center of BTS? No, because in BTS's long journey, being called central is not about who is the most powerful, the most popular, or the most influential, but about who is able to become an emotional, creative, and professional axis in the midst of a constantly rotating global storm. And if the one name that was able to hold that calmly was Jungkook, then Hybe's confession was just a formality of something that had long since become a reality. The world is only hearing about it now, but for the members, they've known it for a long time. Jimin and Jungkook aren't just group mates. They're like 2 mirrors, reflecting each other's growth. From stressful trainee times to big moments on the global stage, the two have always pushed and pulled each other in silence. Jimin once told in one of his interviews that he often felt Jungkook was a shadow who accompanied him in every rehearsal. If I stop, he keeps moving. If I fall, he gets up faster, she said. Now that Hybe has publicly referred to Jungkook as the center of BTS, it's as if all those old reflections are coming back to life, and Jimin chose to respond with calmness instead of envy. A maturity that can only be born from experience and true love for the group they have built together. Meanwhile, Taehyung, with his trademark relaxed yet sharp style, added in the same live a few minutes later, "You know that Jungkook has a charm that sometimes makes us get sucked in too, but I don't feel lost. I just feel like he's taking us further." That sentence, spoken in a low tone and a calm look, made the comment column explode instantly. Fans around the world wrote of mixed reactions, some touched, some proud, some crying. But many also wondered, how could two equally great members be so frustrated by the fact that the spotlight is now on one name? The answer, perhaps, is in the way they grew up together. BTS is not a group formed by ego, but by mutual trust. Every member has a moment to shine, and every ray of that light in the end bounces back to the group. Jimin knew that Jungkook's popularity was not a threat, but a representation of all their hard work. He once said in the documentary Break the Silence, "If Jungkook succeeds, we all succeed." And now, when the world recognizes him as the center of BTS, it doesn't see him as a dividing line, but as concrete proof that their dreams used to be really at their peak. Taehyung also has a similar point of view, although more philosophical. He sees Jungkook not as a center in the sense of domination, but as the axis of energy that drives everything. In some interviews, V often mentions the word balance or balance, and that's what he meant when he said he was borderline. For Taehyung, edges are not boundaries, they are complements. He realized for a circle to spin perfectly, there must be a center and there must be a limit. Without one, the form would be destroyed. He knows his role, he knows Jungkook's role, and the two complement each other with a harmony that can hardly be explained by logic, which can only be felt through their interactions on stage and off the screen. However, the world of entertainment is not always that simple. Behind every great confession, there are always stresses, comments, and diverse interpretations. There are those who think Hybe's statement could create a gap between members. There are also those who accuse that the company deliberately highlights Jungkook for business purposes. But for those who really know BTS, they know the group is already too ripe to be broken up by such narratives, because their every step from the very beginning was built on the basis of together or not at all. Just look at how they always emphasize the meaning of 7 at every opportunity. Even when solo projects came out, they never let go of that collective identity. And interestingly, behind all of BTS's incredible solo projects, it is Jungkook's projects that are the most global, the most massive, the most penetrating the boundaries of the K-pop industry itself. Hybe couldn't turn a blind eye to the fact that Jungkook is now a name that stands between two worlds, East and West, K-pop and global pop, groups and individuals. So when Jimin and Taehyung chose to talk, not in protest but with maturity, they were actually sending a message to the world. BTS is not about who's in the middle, but who stays together in the circle. Many forget that Jimin and Taehyung also have a long history with Jungkook in terms of stage and popularity. From the elaborate choreography in Blood, Sweat and Tears to the intense performances in Fake Love, the three of them are often the visual and emotional axis of BTS. Behind the scenes, there are small stories about how they motivate each other, joke with each other during training to calm each other down in stressful times. As the outside world judges who shines more, they are busy making sure each other doesn't go out. And that's what makes their statement this time around feel huge. Not because they're justifying Jungkook's position as the center of BTS, but because they're proving that the love and respect between them is much stronger than hierarchy or the camera spotlight. Without Jungkook, BTS's energy wouldn't be the same. But without them, Jungkook wouldn't be the center he is today. This is where it is seen how the group goes beyond the general definition of boy band. They are no longer just 7 singers, but 7 emotional axes that keep BTS a living and breathing global phenomenon. Hybe's confession is just an official record of something that has long since grown between them. The realization that each generation has its own midpoint, and today that axis is called Jungkook. But if you look deeper into every Jimin's gentle gaze, every Taehyung's calm smile, you'll know that behind one powerful center, there are 6 other forces that keep him standing firm. So when the world reacts, they just smile. Because they knew the confession was not a sign of the end, but the beginning of a new, more mature chapter of BTS. And in this new era, when the spotlight shines on Jungkook brighter than ever, Jimin and Taehyung don't try to fight for the light. They actually added their own light to keep the circle perfect, to keep BTS spinning, and to let the world know that even when one star shines brightest, the galaxy called BTS remains intact, remains warm, remains mesmerizing.